It's not been a great day for Reading Football Club, I'm afraid, as we launch into this pre-game show for the game with Aston Villa. Myself and Ollie are going to have to take you through those other results, which, as you mentioned, Ollie, not the best for us, I'm afraid. I'll bring them up for everybody else to have a look at. If you're just getting in and you've not seen them so far, here's what they are. And as you can tell, not a very pretty sight, Ollie.
Nope. Wins for Huddersfield, Sheffield Wednesday, and Fulham. So no one doing us any favours there today.
No, Norwich had one job, Ollie. They had one job. Yep. They scored 7 past us the other week. Surely they could beat Fulham. And to make things worse, Fulham went down to 10 men around the half-time mark. And still they couldn't get a result. So, thanks Norwich, you're no longer on our Christmas list. Paul Hobbs joins us in the feed. Hi Paul, thanks for joining in. That's how the results have gone so far today. So let's have a look at where that leaves the table right now. And again, if you weren't a little bit nervous before, you're going to be a little bit nervous now. Looking at that gap now, there is just 3 points between Reading in 4th and Fulham in 7th. And considering Fulham's vastly superior goal difference, that is a dead straight. It's effectively a 2-point gap, isn't it? Because if they finish level with us, they will be above us. So, how are the nerves? How are your nerves holding up? How are you seeing this race now, Ollie?
I'm slightly more nervous, I suppose, but I'm not overly concerned. I think we mentioned it after the Norwich game that Fulham play Sheffield Wednesday on the last day of the season. So I think that's without that fixture, I'd probably be a little bit more nervous. But so in that fixture, you're guaranteed at least one of them drop points. Fulham still playing Newcastle. I'm just looking at their fixtures now.
I think they're done. I think it's Leeds. Leeds are the team in late action. Leeds, they're playing this afternoon. We're recording this about 5:15. So if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, back again, we might well have another result, as I said, with Leeds going to Newcastle. You'd really like to hope that Rafa Benitez and Newcastle can do us a favour today. They failed against Fulham. They failed against Sheffield Wednesday. Just get 3 points today. Is that so hard? But I mean, how do you see the race now? Because for a second, until Huddersfield got that last-minute winner against Preston today, I was thinking, actually, it's Huddersfield that the team were really falling, because they lost 3 of 4. Looked like they were going to drop points again, and you just worried. But it looks like that's the sort of last-minute golden result that really galvanises you and keeps you ahead of the chasing pack. So I think Huddersfield are going to be all right. But I'll bring up the table again. It is so hard to see where. Yeah,
it's incredibly tight.
And just, Derby, I've got Derby still on the table just because mathematically they could still catch us if they were to win all 4 games and we were to somehow lose all 4. But realistically, they're done. So it's just, but with 7 points between 3rd and 7th place, it's still all to play for. Though Huddersfield, with that game in hand, you think they win that, and that's them home and hosed. I think mathematically it might even be done. Again, it's that whole Sheffield Wednesday Fulham game that throws things into a little bit of disarray in terms of the mathematical formula. But realistically, we need two wins and a draw. I think are going to get us there. And then from that point on, you'd be pretty happy and you'd be pretty content that we're going to make it. Tomorrow, though, it's not going to be easy. Let's get on to the game. Trip to Villa Park to take on Aston Villa. A team, Ollie, who are in rampant form at just the wrong time for Reading to run into them.
Yeah, and I think they've got one of the best home records in the division as well, which isn't great considering our away record in the division. But not the best time to run into them. They've not got anything to play for, so you could argue that perhaps they might be on the beach a little bit, but still an excellent side. They've still got a side with players that they had in the Premier League last season, and a lot of, on paper, I'd say Villa have got one of the strongest squads in the Championship, but it just hasn't. They spent too much money this season, and I think it just hasn't worked out for them. But on paper, it is a strong squad, and as you said, the home record could, combined with our away record, could lead to another result.
Yeah.
Another defeat. Yeah.
I mean, we've got their recent results up on the screen now. I mean, after they lost on Valentine's Day at home to Barnsley, they've not lost at home since. They've beat Derby, Bristol City, Sheffield Wednesday, Norwich and QPR, all without conceding a goal as well. That's 5 games in a row they've kept clean sheets. They've got people like Jonathan Kodjia, who's keeping Scott Hogan, who was a target for Premier League West Ham, on the bench. They could afford to ship out Ross McCormack and our old chum, Aaron Tischboller, as well. So, as you mentioned, such a strong squad. They did slip up at Burton last week, which does give you a little bit of hope and optimism that maybe they're just slowly easing off as you go into those final games. But you can't really count on that. And just such a fearsome side. And with that extra day's rest as well. So it's not going to be easy. And you are staring at that scenario. If Reading do stick to form, let's be blunt, their form against the best sides away from home, they're going to be a scenario where we go into Easter Monday's fixtures with our playoff place potentially in jeopardy. Now, a few people have been chipping in to the conversation. Thank you very much. We're more the merrier here. Leaving their comments. We've got Ahmed, who says Fulham have Villa, Wednesday and Huddersfield to play, so not an easy run-in for them. And Andy says Fulham are on fire. I reckon it's between us and Sheffield Wednesday for the last spot. Roll on Rotherham and Wigan. I think a lot of people, Ollie, are counting on those 2 games now to see us over the line.
Yeah.
But while I'd say certainly with Rotherham, although they did get a point against Birmingham today, that you're never going to get a more gimme 3 points in this league if you even vaguely turn up to the quality we've seen from winning this season. But Wigan, on the other hand, Blackburn's win at Nottingham Forest today gives them something to play for. It gives them that hope that they can do something about it and they can actually save themselves. That Nick Powell hat-trick on Thursday night against Barnsley, they're suddenly got something to play for. Forest as well, by losing that game, who are our next away opponents after Aston Villa as well. They've got a real job to do to stay up as well. So again, every result has kind of gone against us today, and it's really put that pressure back on us to deliver. I suppose if you were going on the positive side, though, how many times have we sat there in this position now this season where we've been like, Reading need to get a result, they need a performance out of this game, and they've gone and done it. You think back to Sheffield Wednesday and Hillsborough, how nervy we were feeling going into that one, and we picked up the win over Leeds, did the business against Blackburn. Is it just maybe we're in danger of being a little bit over panicky just because of that 7-1 defeat at Norwich?
Quite possibly, yeah. Definitely the 7-1 defeat, and also I think I was thinking this earlier today. I think if we because we've had such poor seasons over the last 2 years, we automatically think that Reading are going to do quite badly. And I was just when in reality we've got the second best home record in the division.
Yeah.
And I think we should go into the games against Wigan and against Rotherham with confidence. I think, but I think I was thinking because we've not played that well over the last 2 seasons, we don't have that sort of confidence in our own side.
Yes, that whole pessimism of it's Reading. We're no doubt going to flub it up. But going into the game, Yap in his midweek news conference has given a bit of an injury update. Not so great news, really. I mean, Thiago Ilori was rested against Norwich due to a little bit of a knock. It sounds like he's in contention to play. Paul McShane's not going to play any part in the game, and he said that Joey Vandenberg has got a chance of being fit for one of the games over the weekend. Now, I don't know whether that means he'll risk him against Villa and then not play him against Rotherham or vice versa. I imagine he'll lean on the side of caution and put him in for the Rotherham game. So you're looking at pretty much the same squad that we had to play Norwich. I suppose the bigger hope is that people like Jordan Abita and Danny Williams, who were on the bench for that game, are now fully fit and back. And I've given it a go, putting in my proposed team for the game. It's up on the screen now, you can have a look at it. I've gone back to that 3 at the back. I think you put in Tyler Blackett to help out Moore and Oxford. Gunter keeps his place. I know a lot of people haven't been particularly happy with him in recent weeks, but I don't, as we talked about on the podcast this week, I don't think it's the time to change it. So stick with what you've got. Jordan Abita I'd bring back in at left back as well, leaving those 3 at the back. And then I put Danny Williams back in. And I've gone for Liam Kelly over John Swift. Just to start with, I think you want Kelly's energy and that bit more buzzing around that he's got to go alongside Williams. and maybe bring Swift on later. Roy Behrens' fitness status hasn't been confirmed. I'd put him back in if he's not fit to play. It's a difficult one. I mean, I suppose you go for Graben, give him one more chance to impress, just to see what he can do. And Jan and Gareth McCleary pick themselves. Out of those 11, is there anyone automatically that you'd change?
I'd definitely have Williams in there. I think over someone like Jordan Much or John Swift, because I think we need that cover, but like sort of in front of the defence. So and I think that's definitely what we've missed in Jerry Vandenberg. So in a midfield with Much, Kelly and Swift is a little bit too lightweight, I think. So definitely I would agree with bringing Danny Williams back in on generally that side. Yeah, I'd be happy to see that side line up.
Yeah, Daniel Osmond said, for me, Behrens hasn't done enough to maintain his place for weeks now. I know that sentiment, and I can kind of agree with it, because I've not been Roy Behrens' biggest fan, but I think at this time in the season, I can 100% understand Yap going for players he trusts and players he knows that can play in that system. And again, there's just a lack of an obvious alternative. If Callum Harriott was fit, you might be able to say, okay, it's time to bring Harriott back in. But Graben,
possibly
really
Popper, maybe.
Popper, yeah. But again, he's not stood out as being, you must pick me.
Yeah.
I think if you play him, then you almost have to shift McCleary out onto left, and you break up that gun to McCleary.
He's been no better than Behrens, so I don't think.
No, again, unless you've got it's like people are saying with Tenai Watson and Chris Gunter. And again, I'm not writing off Tenai Watson. I said this on the podcast. I'm not writing off Tenai Watson or saying he's not a great player. But at this time, why do you gamble with the unknown when you just need to get through these final... I mean, we are talking potentially, hopefully, 8 games left in the campaign. And then you can rip everything up and start again. We're not playing from behind. We're not having to pull off miracle results to get to the playoffs. We just need to ease over the line. So in doing that, I think you bring Behrens back. A couple of other comments that we've had in there. Jack Simpson again pointing out the Fulham face Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough on the last day of the season. That is, again, going to be such a huge game. You can certainly see that one.
That's sort of what I'm relying on, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I would very much like and hope that... I don't know. You could be in the bizarre position, though, where a draw would get both teams through, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
Not saying there'd be any dodgy shenanigans, but you could certainly see some that not really going our way. But going back, a draw would get both teams through, game, and you don't want that. It's one of those fixtures where I think Reading almost need to treat this as a game in hand. Because we're going there not expecting... It's probably the one game at these final 5 where you'd go, I don't expect us to necessarily win this. And I think that could maybe play into our hands a bit, because it does give you that bit of freedom to go out there and go for the win. But does Stam do that? We talked about on the show earlier this week. Does Stam go for the win, what he's done all season away from home, and it's possibly cost us games, or does he go more pragmatic? Does he go and say, right, I'm going to get a point here. I'm going to show that my team can be defensively rigid, can battle their way for a point, and I don't care if we're less expansive than usual, we're going to go get that result. What would you do?
I would be happy with a point, to be honest. I think it wouldn't put us in that bad a position. I think Villa are a decent side if they play on the day, and especially at home. So I wouldn't go all out for the win. But I think we probably would have taken a point at Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
And they came back. And the time, so we were 1-0 up obviously, and then we got that last minute goal when they brought Kieran Westwood up for the corner. So you could easily have a scenario like that again if we get an early lead and sit on it like we did at Hillsborough, and hope that Ali Al-Habsi can pull off some more heroics if we're bombarded with the shots. But I think if we can get a lead in the first 15-20 minutes. I think we are very good at defending Leeds, so if we can hit them on the counter or get, as I said, get that early goal, we might be able to get all 3 points. Hopefully,
yes, getting that first goal that's so vitally important.
Yeah.
We've just seen, unfortunately, what happens to Reading when they go behind away from home. It usually doesn't end well, with the rare exception, your Bristol Cities. Otherwise, we just seem to fall apart. Alex Everson saying, I'm surprised so many see tomorrow as a must-win. I think a draw is a great result. I'd agree with that. I think if Reading come away with a draw, especially a clean sheet, again, you bring up the league table, that point takes us up to 74 points, gives us that one game breathing room over Fulham, that could be so vital come the end of the season, because it is quite possible to see Reading losing against Forest, and even not getting 3 points against Burton. I think if you were, I think the worst case scenario, realistically speaking, for Reading from this point, I would say would be, I think 6 is the lowest they're going to get. I think they're going to beat Rotherham, and I think they're definitely, well, I don't say definitely, but they're going to beat, in my opinion, one of Forest or Burton or Wigan. So I think they're definitely going to get 2 of those wins. That would take us up to 79 points. Then you're asking Fulham to win 3 out of their last 4, and Sheffield Wednesday to get 7 points out of their last 4 games. Again, bearing in mind that they play each other on the last day. So might be enough. Might just be enough. But if they get that extra point, it just gives them that little bit of a cushion, that little bit of a breathe, guys. You can, just relax that little tiny bit. So we'll see how that one goes. But any other closing thoughts out of this one? What's your score prediction anyway?
Well, I did a prediction league for everyone else, not on the podcast. I was going to go for a 2-1 defeat. Slightly pessimistic, but I think it is actually a game where we could get a win, loss, or I know it sounds silly, a win, loss, or a draw.
Yeah. But
I think you could make a case for all 3 of those happening. We could concede an early goal like we did at Norwich and get beat 2 or 3 or 4-0. We could, as I said, get an early goal, sit on it, and take all 3 points. Or it could be a 0-0 stalemate. I think, I'd probably go for 2-1, but I don't think that would be a disaster. I think, as you say, we've still got the games against Wigan, Burton, Rotherham, and Forest. I don't think we should look at this and say this is a must-win. I think even if we do lose, I think that there will definitely be panic on social media. But I think if you look at our running compared to the other teams and think about how if we get those 6 points, Fulham and Sheffield Wednesday they also need to win. It's not as if just because we lose, the other teams automatically get into the top 6. They have to do their job as well. So they could very easily crumble under the pressure just as much as we could. Yeah. So I think I don't think there's an awful lot to worry about, even if we do lose tomorrow.
Yeah, and again, it's easy to get carried away because the last 2 weekends have been awful result-wise for us. It's easy to get carried away and just think that, every team's going to win all their games, but they're not. They're going to slip up, as they have been in previous weeks. There's a good reason why this points total usually gets you in. So I think, focus on getting those 2 to 3 wins. Then we can really relax, get in there, hopefully get that point tomorrow. Everyone in the Tilehurst Podcast Prediction League has gone for a defeat. So if we do lose, you can't hold it on us. I know usually the result goes the opposite way. So, hopefully a surprise win. But anyway, that just about rounds off the show this week. Thank you very much to those of you who have joined us live. We don't tend to have a massive schedule ahead of time when we do these things. It's just kind of if people are around and whatnot. Unfortunately, we can't afford to be full-time yet. So, maybe in the future. But if you're watching this on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Tilehurst End, or if you're watching this on Facebook, you can check this out, and plenty more videos up on YouTube as well. We'll be back tomorrow, myself, I don't know if it'll be Ollie, it'll be somebody, to talk about that Villa game and the immediate aftermath. And we'll also have a Tilehurst End podcast on Wednesday. That will be after the Rotherham game. So come stick around. Come back even for that one. Ollie, thank you very much for joining me. Fingers crossed we can get those points and have a good Easter weekend.
Yep. You too.
Take it easy.
You too. See you later.